about the times we're living in.
Yeah, very nice.
Also
do you want to tell me about where you are?
To different tools that
especially
help us meet
if you
people
tell me
we would
where
not
you
meet
are.
otherwise.
Yeah, I will.
What we have been discussing among professionals is this concept of systemic crisis. And somehow in our museum sector, we think that this crisis actually started long before the pandemics hit. And we have not been prepared to this crisis. We have not been trained to build resilience. And the sector was not only unprepared, but it was constantly operating on the verge of financial stability.
But what you described, the freelancers, the micro organizations, the small organizations that are not crown jewels, we need to not only support them to survive, but they need to be really operational because there's work to be done.
What is the mission of cultural organizations? Because we tend to consider that our mission is a description of what we do and not why we do it.
The other problem I can see also is like that the culture had gained more instrumental value. Instead of this intrinsic value it has itself.
It's the question of the relevance of art, relevance of culture. And if we know, when we become aware of certain things, certain mega trends, certain local trends, if that helps us making art, what we do, more relevant.
I have the feeling that there are so many crises. You said that crises? What's the...
Yeah, crises.
crises at the moment in parallel. I mean, the political shift to the right and fragmentation, COVID, then the global reshuffling of powers at the moment, the ecological crisis, and then the whole identity discussion, which is somehow also fragmenting even us on the progressive spectrum.
You know, we're trying now to put a big focus on cultural leadership. We feel that, you know, in our cultural organizations, we have many directors, but very few leaders.
So in any type of crisis, be it social, political, economic, or health crisis, as we're dealing with now, it's really difficult to find out who is going to speak for the sector, yeah, and who with.
So rather than having a kind of a clear plan, it's more about sort of saying, well, actually, we're going to conduct a number of experiments, and we're going to test some hypotheses, and then we're going to see what the result is of those experiments, and then that will inform our process going forward. And that's been quite freeing in a way, because we're kind of succumbing to that, you know, that process, and so there's room for risk, which is so important, and room for failure, which, as we know, is like critical to the creative process.
I like to think about the future of culture sector as it emerges. Like, so I think that our flexibility and adaptability, that somehow defines the culture sector. It's not, you know, it's not written in stone. It has to, and it always has adapted to changing environment. I think that this is the real strength and resource that will help us through different types of crises and